Hello. Well, the industry has been through a lot, right? Years of the pandemic, months of a strike, 2 hours of Madam Web. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Seriously, this has been such an incredibly exciting experience for me. It's really weird because I feel like, honestly, that I've spent my entire life on the fringes, and then one day, the lines between the oddballs and the geeks and the outcasts began to blur until they were more than counterculture. They were celebrated as mainstream. Tonight seems to be proof of that because growing up, I never thought I'd be in the same room or ever on a stage and utter the sentence, "Here to present the Golden Eddie to the Pope of Trash." Is the Prince of Nerds. Please welcome Kevin Smith.
Thank you. I'm not even bullshitting when I say this is a thrill for me to be here. I love the art of editing. I consider myself not so much a director who edits, but an editor who directs, which is convenient because nobody else considers me much of a director either. But I believe every movie is made in the editing room. I fuck around with Avid more than myself. Truly, and that's saying a lot, kids. Since 1996, I cut my first film on a Steenbeck, but from 96 forward, it's been digital with Avid, and being able to get into the movie once it's all been finished, that means the most to me. I don't pay much attention on set when we're making the movie, which is why I'm not being asked to give out a directing award. But I sit there and I collect my shots as an editor, and that's all I do. I let all the actors and other crafts folks do what they want, shine in their own way. The only thing I'm looking for are those 8 pieces that are going to get me a scene that's going to get this from here and here out onto the screen. So being here means the world to me. Thank you, editors. Okay. More importantly, man, 2 legends, many legends in this building tonight, but 2 legends that absolutely mean the world to me. One is a fellow we're about to give a massive award to, and the other was up here before doing introducing Walter Murch. I've only got 3 pages, so we're going to go fast, kids. I just let you know in advance, But I've been in this business 30 years, and I'm certainly no peer, but I direct too, and I saw George Lucas backstage, and I've liked Star Wars my whole life, and I was like, maybe I should go over and say something, this will be the moment and shit. And then he got ushered out here to intro, and I was like, thank God, I didn't have to do that. But then I was back here just before I had to go on, and he was walking past. And I was like, this is it. And in my head, I'm going, you should just go say something good. And I was doing this. And that's when George Lucas looked at me as I was. And that looks creepy as fuck, right? You just add this, and it's even worse. So. For our recipient tonight, who is the cat who laid the track upon which my train has traveled for these last 3 decades. I'm not going to freeform and stuff. I'm writing a memoir, so I just pulled my whole chapter about him and stuff. It's, again, only 3 pages, and it's going to read fast. Promise. Here we go. The year is 1981, the location a seaside borough of New Jersey called Highlands. I'm a movie-loving kid, age 10, going on 11. Since there is no internet yet, entertainment info is relegated to movie reviews in the last 5 minutes of the Eyewitness News broadcast, maybe twice a week if you were lucky. And during one such broadcast, I saw a piece about a movie that was coming out that weekend, which was playing in Odorama. The audience would be given a scratch and sniff card with their ticket. And when numbers appeared in the movie, the viewer was encouraged to scratch the same digit on the card and inhale the scent that corresponded with the scene on screen. The movie was called Polyester. I did not know what the word meant, even though it described my mom's entire wardrobe at the time. So all excited, I tell my family about this movie over dinner, knowing absolutely nothing about the plot, gushing solely about the odorama aspect. My father, he goes, "That's like William Castle," he says. And when I asked who that was, my father educated me, my sister, my brother, and my mom on the gimmick-hyping matinee impresario. Already, this polyester was making us a tighter-knit family. They can't all be dick jokes. So I go for broke and I ask if we could go see this Polyester as a family. And maybe it's because his 3 kids and his wife were paying attention to him as he spun stories about William Castle. But my old man reached for the newspaper to see if he could take his family to see this family film. "It's at the drive-in, and Tab Hunter's in it," Dad announced, after spotting the very small ad in the Daily Register. Dad said to Mom, "Didn't you like Tab Hunter, Grace?" My mom said, "When I was a teenager, I wanted to marry him," she giggled. My father flipped through the 2 pages that made up the movie section and said, "There's no review." Then he held the paper open for us and pointed to the image of Divine, and he said to my mother words I will never forget to this day because it started one of the biggest family fights we ever had. "Grace, she looks like your sister." So, that night, the family Smith packed a dinner of multiple peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, loaded into the family Oldsmobile Buick, and we drove off to the drive-in on Route 35 to see what would be their first John Waters film. We pull up to the booth and pay, and my dad goes, 2 adults, 3 kids. And the ticket guy at the booth goes, "For polyester?" And my dad says, "Yeah." And the ticket guy shakes his head and he takes the money. But then after we pay, my dad's just sitting there waiting. And the ticket guy goes, "You can go in." And my dad goes, "Where's the odorama cards?" And the ticket guy tells my dad, "We didn't get the odorama cards." And I am fucking devastated. We didn't have cell phones or the internet or even cable TV back then. I was 10 going on 11, so I didn't have sex or weed. Return of the Jedi wouldn't be out for another 2 years. Odorama was all I had to look forward to in my life. So my dad asks for his money back, and the ticket guy goes, "No refunds." And my dad gets really irate, and he says, "What kind of stupid shit is that?" And the ticket guy doesn't miss a beat, and he laughs, and he goes, "What kind of stupid shit takes 3 kids to this movie?" So we drive in, and we park, and we wait for the movie to start, and the entire time my dad won't stop bitching, and then the movie begins. Cruelly, there's a doctor who tells us all about the odorama card that we didn't have and how it would have worked. My parents got into another mini argument after my dad kept comparing Divine to my aunt. But as soon as Elmer Fishpaw comes home to a picketing crowd and someone used the word porno, that's when my father said these immortal words, "Oh my God, it's one of those fucking movies." Then he started the car, and we screeched out of the drive-in. It would be another decade before I finally saw the Douglas Sirk send-up brilliance that is Polyester. But the words my dad had said, "It's one of those fucking movies," stayed with me. And at age 21, when I realized I wanted to be a filmmaker, the first thought I had was, I want to make one of those fucking movies. Now, kids, that's because John Waters made it seem that above all else, we artists are getting away with an incredible scam. Our job is to make pretend. It's that fucking simple. And while he's an undeniable icon of indie film, Maestro Waters never seemed to take it too seriously. Case in point, he made a movie called Pecker because he wanted to see newspaper ads that read, "John Waters Pecker." Ask George Lucas, he never did that. John Waters is the leader of the band, kids, and my career has been a poor attempt to imitate the man who made movie making look not just possible for us plebes, but also fun as fuck. John Waters taught me to embrace where I'm from when he told his tales set in Baltimore. So I made New Jersey my Baltimore. John Waters taught me you don't need permits to make a movie. Very, very important in the low-budget arena. But more importantly, that you don't need permission to express yourself any way you want. John Waters taught me you don't need famous people to shoot a picture because the real fun is making movies with your friends. Plus, if you make your friends famous, they'll owe you for life, as I keep telling Ben Affleck. John Waters taught me the majority doesn't always rule. Sometimes less people liking your shit can be a virtue. And you could build an entire career from an audience of any size so long as that audience is ardent. John Waters taught me to find a buddy and build every movie around them. He had Divine, I had Jay Muse. John Waters taught me that making movies with Tracy Lords and Johnny Depp was cool, so eventually I made movies with Tracy Lords and Johnny Depp. John Waters taught me that an artist making art is fulfilling, yes, but an artist who becomes the art is way more interesting. John Waters taught me if you go home with a date and they don't have books, don't fuck them. John Waters filmed Divine eating dog shit, and some of my films have been described as dog shit. He calls the cinema trash, but you throw out trash, kids. The works of Waters, they're not trash. They're absolute treasures, and I would not be here today without them. Let's take a look at the lifelong, lustrous career of one of a true American icon, a true American original. Let's take a look back at Mr. John Waters, shall we?
Hello, I'm John Waters, and I'm supposed to announce there is no smoking in this theater, which I think is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard of in my life. But don't you wish you had one right now? Let's
make a motherfucking movie!
When everybody's heard about the bird. The bird's a winner, when a bird, when a bird is a winner, when a bird, the bird's a winner, when a don't you know about the bird? Well, everybody knows that the bird is a winner, when a bird, the bird's a winner, when a...
Eat the bird, bitch!
When I was a child, the Holy Trinity to me was the Wicked Witch of the West, Rhoda Penmark, the child murderess in The Bad Seed, and Captain Hook. All young people need somebody bad to look up to, and I hope I can be that for you tonight.
Lots of kids dream of making a movie, but only the ones willing to die for it succeed.
Who wants to die for art? I do! A single gunshot can never destroy the beauty of fascism.
Kill everyone now. Condone first-degree murder. Advocate cannibalism. Eat shit. Filth are my politics. Filth is my life.
Yes, folks, this isn't any cheap X-rated movie or any fifth-rate porno play. This is the show you want. Lady Divine's Cavalcade of Perversions, the sleaziest show on earth.
I am divine.
If she walks by, the men folks get in grows.
Can't help it, girl, can't help it.
If she winks an eye, the bread slice turn to toes.
Can't help it, girl, can't help it.
If she got a lot of what they call the moles.
Can't help it, girl, can't
I'm a huge star. Just pick up the papers and you'll see my picture on the front page. I love every fucking one of you.
Female Trouble was released on a beautiful new DVD, and I always wonder, why do I always have to do the commentary? An angry editor would be good. You should have seen what I had to work with. This hack couldn't cut his way out of a paper bag.
John is very funny, but also wants to shock.
use a napkin, you freak!
I think John's outrageousness combined with his formality is what shapes his appeal.
That's entertainment.
Action!
When I started on Hairspray, I was 6 weeks behind. The film was about ready to wrap shooting and nothing had been edited together.
I don't know about you,
but I feel like dancing.
It's one of my favorite films for all its sweetness and its social message.
It's the times. They're a-changing. Something's blowing in the wind.
Is seaweed will integration ever come?
Oh, Penny, my little white lily. We're outcast from both societies. Black, white. Our love is taboo.
Go to second, go to second.
I continued working with John on several more of his projects.
Kiss me hard.
It was just a fantastic collaboration.
To me, bad taste is what entertainment is all about.
The Citizen Kane of gore movies.
If someone vomits watching one of my films, it's like getting a standing ovation.
Makes me sick in a wonderful, wonderful way.
You've made me the happiest juvenile delinquent in Baltimore.
I still live in Baltimore because it still really inspires me. It's a city where everybody thinks they're normal, but they're totally insane.
This isn't California.
This is Baltimore.
It's like a drummer inside my heart.
Welcome to Baltimore!
That's why we call Baltimore the Hollywood of the East.
I'm a Baltimore girl, and that's where I should stay.
I love you, Baltimore!
Ladies and gentlemen, if the man did not exist, we would have to invent him. Welcome to the stage, the legend, the icon, John Waters.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Wow, thank you. In the pitch letter from the board of directors of the American Cinema Editors Organization, they wrote me, each year, the Golden Eddie honoree is a filmmaker whose body of work represents constant excellence, craftsmanship, and integrity, and whose relationships with fellow professionals has been inspiring. This year, we are throwing nearly 75 years of history out the window and inviting you. Well, at least I knew they had a sense of humor. Yes, it is ironic I'm getting an editing award, since when I made my first film, Hag in a Black Leather Jacket, in 1964, I didn't even know what editing was. I was 17 years old. My grandmother had given me an 8mm movie camera, and I just filmed all the shots in order of the plot, and presto, the movie was done. No editing necessary. Very Dogma 95. Very Lars von Trier. My next film, Roman Candles, was edited and reversed. I used every second of the footage I shot and showed the whole assemblages split side by side horizontally from 3 different projectors. Eat Your Makeup followed, a 40-minute short. But there really is no such thing as a 40-minute short, is there? Mondo Trasho was my first feature, and I was arrested with a cast for conspiracy to commit indecent exposure. But who I should have been arrested by was the ACE organization itself for releasing a 90-minute movie that should have been cut to 30. Why, viewers whined, did it take 15 minutes in real time for the bus to become in the beginning of that film while star Mary Vivian Pierce and the audience waited? All I could answer was, well, we filmed that scene on Sunday and the buses don't run that often. But I soon learned that everything I shot was not so precious, and a few truths became apparent. If you ever think you should cut a scene out of your movie, you should. No comedy should be longer than 90 minutes. Yeah. There's no such thing as a good long joke. If the audience hears a narrator in a movie, they know it tested badly, and the editor had to cut out plot points that didn't make any sense without explanation. Use music lyrics instead of a human voice. It's sneakier, works better, and the audience is none the wiser. I've done every kind of editing, well, except the newest, and maybe that'll change. Tape splice, hot splicers. I love Guy Madden's faux splice marks he digitally adds to his well-edited new footage. Of course, the Steenbeck, even the movieola. Pink Flamingos was shot on reversal film with a magnetic soundtrack right on the film, so each cut had to have the sound overlap the next 24 frames of picture. Every time I had to view an edit I had just done, I put the original footage, no work print, in the projector and ran it to see how it played. Yet it's not that scratched. Well, a little, but as Cecil B. DeMented says, technique is nothing more than failed style. Actually, Pink Flamingos is famous for the editing. There is not one cut in the final scene where Divine eats dog feces, straight from the dog's anus to the talent's lips in The Master. That's what I call a great editing decision, even if I have to say so myself. My first editor was Charles Ruggiero in Baltimore, and we edited Female Trouble and Desperate Living in the basement of his parents' house, where he still lived. But I wasn't allowed to go upstairs because he didn't want his parents to meet me and start asking to see the footage we were cutting down below. The jump cut you see in Female Trouble is no Godardian homage from us. No, it was a different kind of editor. The Maryland censor board lady who handed me a pair of scissors and made me cut out, right in front of her, one cunnilingus scene, as the receipt she gave me back reads. I'm not kidding. You can see that receipt displayed in the Academy Museum show, still up, right here in Los Angeles. Janice Hampton was my first editor, and we worked together with Erica Huggins on a lot of pictures, including Hairspray and Crybaby. You get to know your editors better than anyone else on the crew. You travel with them. You live with them in different cities. Janice even has pictures of us doing our laundry together in a laundromat in Berkeley when we were there for a sound mix. You sometimes have to fight the studio executives together, too. Yet the editor has to play both sides, listening to the executives after a test screenings. Those focus groups can be brutal. Yet remain loyal to the director's vision. My last two films were all edited in New York with Jeffrey Wolpe and his assistant, Andy Weisblom. And we had to fight the MPAA and make a family-friendly version of A Dirty Shame that wasn't rated NC-17 for the chain video stores. Try cutting a film about sex addicts to be suitable for a children's birthday party. That's a task no editor should ever have to tackle. Here's some ironclad friendly editing advice for directors. Never have characters smoke cigarettes in your film, even a period piece, not for health concerns, for continuity issues. You want to snip out a boring bit of dialogue, you can't cut back to the first smoking character because the cigarette is a different length. Never show anybody looking at their watch in a movie. It slows it down and the audience will do the same thing. Music editors, make sure the end credit crawl music is lively, funny, or shocking. That's when audience word of mouth begins, when they're walking up the aisle to leave. Okay, heterosexual directors, it's okay to use the swish pan. Gay editors will not feel insulted or appropriated if you use that still effective camera move. Women always seem to be more accepted on crews as editors, even the elderly ones. Let's continue celebrating that. Old splicers never make their final cut. There's a union chant for the editorially correct. Editors, be cagey. Sometimes directors design shots that cut together artfully all on their own, but the audience might not realize that. Take the credit for yourself. I save this film in the editing room is often the cry of editors who hate the directors they are working with. Yell it proudly. Put it on t-shirts, bumper stickers. You've been locked up in that dark room with that asshole for months. It's time to speak out. Can a film be too short? Woody Allen didn't think so. Some of his best are 80 minutes long. Pedro Almodovar's recent ones are 30 minutes. But once I did make a feature that was too short. Janice put together the first assemblage of Pecker, and it was 82 minutes long without cutting one thing out yet. We had to sneak the cast and crew back in town, film extra footage to add to the front credit bus ride to make it the 90-minute running time that New Line demanded. They never found out. Until today. Sorry, Bob, Shay, and Sarah. But if you know the special hell of editing an independent film can be. Okay, edit. It's a great term that I use today when I'm not even making a film, and you can too. If someone is a blowhard, long-winded, or worse yet, telling you the entire plot of a TV show they loved and you've never seen it, just start saying the word edit quickly. Edit, edit. They will at first be confused, but they'll soon get it, and after a moment, edit. They'll finally shut up. Edit, edit. It works. I think I will too. Edit. Thank you for this wonderful award. Edit. Thank you.